that when they send their kids to school, a babysitter's house, a daycare, that their kids are going to be taken care of. But I'm sure with those parents spending that kind of money, they assume that their kids are going to be getting like the best care possible. But several parents began reporting that their little babies and toddlers were coming home from the nursery with red marks, scratches, bruises all over their little bodies. And there was no explanation for this. Also, several coworkers of Roxana started noticing these scratches and bruises on these babies after Roxana was alone with them. Several of them also noticed that Roxana was like pretty rough with these babies. She certainly wasn't like handling them with care. And that brings us to June 28th, 2024. A coworker witnessed and then reported to management that Roxana pinched a baby until it cried. And this is clearly very concerning. There was already a bunch of rumors floating around. So management went and they looked at the CCTV cameras at the time that this coworker reported Roxana was abusing this baby. And on the security cameras, they saw Roxana pinching this little baby on its mouth, its face, its wrists, just all over its body, deliberately trying to harm this little baby. Roxana was immediately suspended from her position, but now the nursery needed to find out if this was an isolated incident or something that she was doing all the time. They got the police involved and together they reviewed all of the available CCTV footage they had from Roxana's shifts, and this was over 300 hours of footage. And they discovered dozens and dozens and dozens of incidents of Roxana abusing these little babies and toddlers. And this is absolutely horrific abuse. And I'm gonna tell you a little bit about what they saw. To these vulnerable, little defenseless babies, Roxana would pinch them, scratch them, she would slap them, she would twist their toes, pull their hair, punch them, and kick them. And most of these times, it wasn't even like it was out of frustration, not that it would make it okay. There's never an excusable reason to abuse, harm a child. But the reason I point that out is because she was doing this just because she wanted to, because she liked it. It's like so sick in the head. There was one incident where Roxana just walked past this little baby minding its own business. It wasn't crying or anything, and unprovoked, Roxana just slapped it in the face. She would drag toddlers across the floor by their hair. She would grab them by their necks. She would push them, throw them. She would throw them on their heads. She was also always smoking in front of these babies, and she would like blow it out in them, like at them while they were sleeping in their cots. There was one incident with a little toddler boy. He couldn't have been any older than 2 years old. Roxana kicked him in the head and the face repeatedly, just over and over again. And while this little boy was on the floor crying, she came up and she stomped him on his shoulder. There were days where a single child would suffer abuse at the hands of Roxana Leca dozens of times in a single day. There were incidents where Roxana would smother these little babies for a short amount of time, but this she's escalating to a more dangerous place because it does not take a very long time to smother a baby to end its life. So this is just absolutely horrific abuse. I mean, these are babies. They're vulnerable. They can't defend themselves. They can't speak. They can't tell anyone what's happening to them. How much damage did she cause, not just to their bodies, but to their little impressionable minds? There's so much trauma here and there's so much healing that needs to happen, not just for the babies, but for the families. How can the parents ever be expected to trust anyone ever again? And in the footage they had available for them, they saw that Roxana Leca had abused over 20 babies and toddlers. And on July 5th, 2024, at her home, she was arrested. At the station, she refused to speak to anyone. She was denying that she did anything wrong. She was charged with 24 counts of child cruelty, and despite a mountain of evidence against her, they literally had her on camera doing these things, she pled not guilty. When her trial started, she ultimately pled guilty to 7 counts of child cruelty, but kept saying that she was innocent of the other 17. I don't know if she was trying to like make a plea deal or something, but they were not interested. And at her trial, she was really trying to like play up that she was just this young girl who doesn't know anything and didn't know what she was doing was wrong. But in June of 2025, she was convicted on 21 counts of child cruelty, and she was sentenced to 8 years in prison, which is a long time, but by the time she gets out, she'll be like 30, in her early 30s. Parents of some of the victims believe that if Roxana Leca hadn't been caught, she would have kept escalating her abuse until she ultimately killed a child. Let me know what your thoughts are, because honestly, I agree. But I'm absolutely interested to hear your thoughts on that. Also interested to hear what you think we can do to make sure that like something like this never happens again. So interested to hear all your thoughts in the comments. While you're there, please be respectful to the families of these victims. These are really young people that we are discussing, and these families have a lot of healing they're gonna have to go through. So let me know your thoughts in the comments, but please be respectful. And while you're there, please let me know what case you want to see me cover next. Thank you to everyone that suggested that I cover this case, and I will see you guys all next time in my next video. Please be a good person to your fellow person. Dawson McGee was one of 4 children to his father and his mother, Kathleen. His mother, Kathleen, was a senseless woman and an amazing mother. She would spend all of her free time volunteering, but her main priority was always her children. Like, not only was she a stay-at-home mom, but she would homeschool her 4 children. But her son, Dawson, was a bit of a problem child. Dawson was diagnosed with ADHD. He would act out. He would start fights with his siblings. His siblings would say that Dawson would do anything for attention, especially their mother's attention, and that he was extremely manipulative. Dawson graduated high school and college and got a job, but only a few years into the workforce, Dawson told his mom that he was depressed. He quit his job and moved back home with his parents. And pretty much from then on, Kathleen would do everything for her adult son, Dawson. She paid for everything for him. She cooked all of his meals. She cleaned up after him. She was even doing Dawson's laundry. And Dawson's dad and siblings did not like this. They felt like Dawson was taking advantage of Kathleen, that he didn't respect her and just expected his mother to do everything for him. After his father and siblings started coming for him, Dawson then began telling his mom that he was experiencing anxiety, that he was hearing voices, and that he was seeing things that weren't there. Dawson saw a psychiatrist and was diagnosed with a psychotic disorder, but still, his siblings accused him of faking it all for their mother's attention. And then Dawson developed symptoms of Parkinson's disease, but only after spending time with an uncle with Parkinson's. His siblings said that he would only show these symptoms around their mother and just accused him of faking this as well. Dawson's siblings would say that he was extremely manipulative, and especially of their mother, Kathleen. That Dawson could switch back and forth from being the sweetest person ever to being like the scariest person ever if he didn't get his way. And they would try and tell their mom that she was being manipulated by their brother Dawson, but their mother Kathleen always defended Dawson. Around this time, Dawson also became obsessed with scary movies and horror movie villains. He would dress up as Jason Voorhees and Michael Myers, like with the mask and all, and he would go out in public like this any time of the year, not just around Halloween. Dawson's mother, Kathleen, was always volunteering, and she began working with survivors of abuse. Through her work, Kathleen took a course on manipulative family members. And it was like a light switch went on, and she finally realized that her adult son, Dawson, had been manipulating her for years. And after this, Kathleen stopped cooking for him. She stopped cleaning up after him. She stopped doing literally everything for him. And this made Dawson furious. He actually got in such a big fight with his parents that the police had to be called. At the beginning of October 2011, Dawson's baby sister, Caitlin, actually moved back in with the family as well because she was going to be getting married soon. And she wanted to spend some extra time with her mom, planning the wedding before she went off and started her own family. And now there's like levels to Dawson's anger at this point, because now he's getting even less attention from his mom that he was already getting. So that month, Dawson just like locked himself away in his room. He was so moody and gloomy. He wouldn't talk to his baby sister, Caitlin, let alone look at her. And that takes us to Halloween weekend 2011. That weekend, Dawson's dad and sister Caitlin were both away that weekend. They were doing different things, but this left Jess, Dawson, and his mom, Kathleen, home alone together. On October 30th, the day before Halloween, around 4 p.m., Kathleen was in her bedroom getting ready to go pick up her youngest daughter, Caitlin, from a weekend retreat, when a man entered her bedroom wearing a Halloween mask and holding a big knife. And this was, of course, Kathleen's son, Dawson, and he fatally stabbed his mother, Kathleen, 10 times. Meanwhile, his sister Caitlin is expecting their mom to come pick her up, and she's calling her mom over and over and over again, and her mom's not picking up. So eventually, Dawson actually called back his sister and said that their mom was sick, so he was going to come and pick her up. And Caitlin definitely thought this was strange because remember, at this point, her brother's not even speaking to her or like looking at her. Dawson picked up his sister around 5 p.m. and Caitlin noticed that her brother, who was usually really gloomy and moody, seemed to be in a really good mood. He's so happy because he just killed his mom, the mom that has literally done everything for him his entire life. After picking up his sister, Dawson drove an hour out of the way. He got lost a bunch of times. He made a pit stop at his garden dealer's house, anything to stall his sister from getting home and finding their mother's dead body. And by the time they finally got home, it was 11 p.m. So it was really late. And Dawson told his sister that, their mother's sick, she's resting, so everyone went to bed. The next morning, it's Halloween, and Caitlin wants to go check on their sick mom, but Dawson once again tries to stall her. But eventually, Caitlin was adamant on checking on her mom, but her mom's bedroom door was locked. So she's knocking on it, she's calling out for her mom, but she's not answering, and she's worried because her mom is apparently sick. Maybe she's having a medical emergency, so she calls 911. So imagine the shock and horror when they knock down the door and they find Kathleen dead on the floor in a pool of her own blood, murdered. Kathleen died with her car keys in her hand, like gripped in her hand. She was moments away from leaving the house to go pick up her daughter when her son came in and killed her for no reason. And by this point, Dawson had fled the home, so now this small town had a killer on the run on Halloween night. But he was later found that same night around 1 a.m. and he was arrested. In his interrogation, Dawson didn't know that there was a camera filming him the entire time, so he would stutter and shake his hand whenever the police were in the room, but the second the detective would leave the room, he would stop.
Hi, Dawson. Hi, how are you doing?
I'm okay, how are you doing?
I'm all right. How are you? I want to talk to you about what happened to your mom.
What happened to my mom?
Well, you tell me.
People called me and said something happened at home to mom. They were very bad.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to my mom?
Well, that's what I'm asking you.
I was waiting for my brother and sister to tell me.
Okay. Well, was your sister home this weekend?
Wait, I'm supposed to have an attorney?
If you want one.
Am I supposed to have I should request an attorney.
Well, that's up to you if you like one. But I mean, we'd like to talk to you.
You're supposed to have an attorney. Go ahead, I would offer. I want to ask for an attorney.
Do you want to ask for an attorney?
Yeah.
Okay. Then at this point, I'm done talking to you. I can't talk to you anymore about the case because you told me that you want an attorney here.
Oh, okay.
All right. If you change your mind about that and you decide you want to talk to me, you need to let me know or let one of the officers here know. Okay?
Oh, okay.
All right. I'm gonna be right back.
And at his trial, he of course pled not guilty by reason of insanity. But a jury found him legally sane and he was found guilty of second-degree murder and he was sentenced to 16 years to life in prison, meaning that he will be eligible for parole in 2028, which is only 3 years away. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think there's a chance that they will ever let him out? I don't think so, but let me know what your thoughts are. I'm interested to hear all your thoughts and opinions in the comments, but while you're there, please remember to always be respectful. Kathleen does have 3 more children. They could possibly be in the comments. You don't know who could be in the comments, so always just be nice and respectful. And while you're in the comments, please let me know what case you want me to cover next. Thank you to everyone that suggested that I covered this case. If you made it to end this video, thank you so much for listening to Kathleen's story. If you did make it to the end, let me know somehow by like dropping red emojis so I know you made it to the end. And I will see you guys all next time in my next video. Please be a good person to your fellow person.